Hey, it's Joey Balladonna here from Anthrax, and this is SAGAS.
Well,
look, this is a big one.
I didn't break out and join the podcast today.
It is now time for Devil's Advocate. Same time, same place, awesome.
What's going on, everybody? This is Corbin, the Serpentine Skipwith.
And this is Ren, the Berserker Marabou. And this is
SAGAS.
SAGAS. Nice. Welcome.
Welcome to the 43rd
Wow.
episode. Because so we uploaded, as you all know, today, which was last week for you guys. We uploaded the latest episode with Corey Atford from Carnifex, and that was probably the most deepest conversation we've had on this podcast so far. It was good. It was good because I think it lets everyone know that when they come on this podcast, they're allowed to be themselves as much as they want, speak freely, talk about what they want, and that's what we want. We just want honest discussions, open discussions, and So yeah, I'm very happy with that. Thank you, Corey, again, if you're watching this, for the amazing episode. But as all guests do, they get to choose what album we cover the week next, which is today, and we will be covering the 2007 album, the debut album by pioneering deathcore band Beneath The Massacre, and their album Mechanics of Dysfunction.
Mechanics of Dysfunction.
My screen's mirrored, so I'm always like doing the wrong way. Yeah. It's a bit blurry, but you get cool. So why don't you start us off, Ren? Tell us your first impressions.
Yeah, actually, just before I go any further, that's like I say with the weather, the weatherman has that problem, or weather woman. They're like confused, have to learn which side they're on, storm coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, do you know what? Last week was a great interview. Really cool guy, deep stuff. But then he gave us this full on, absolutely just brutal album. I really enjoyed it, funny enough. I mean, I spent a lot of years, I said to you, bro, I spent a lot of years listening to similar bands like Despised Icon and Job for a Cowboy and stuff. But these guys are just really crisp. Like everything they do is just flawless. It's absolutely flawless. So that's all I could focus on listening to this whole album. I was like, there is not one single bit out of line here. It's like almost robotic, which is kind of nice. It's easy to listen to something that's robotic because it's precise to the maximum. But yeah, that was the first thing I thought, and that pretty much was all I thought about for the rest of the album. It wasn't, it didn't hit me deep in any kind of shape or form, but it was just a nice listen. Even though it's brutal, it's pleasant. So that's where I sit with it still.
Well, that's a very different interpretation than what Corey said when he said it was like being attacked by an octopus. That was his. So apparently, Ren, you weren't attacked by that sonic octopus. So there you go.
Yeah, I was. I'm not afraid of octopus eyes.
Yeah. We on the SAGAS podcast, we are anti-octopus.
Yeah, get out of here, dude.
No. Listen to this album. I think I said this before on other episodes. In my teen years, because I'm 28 now, so when I was in school, 17, 16, that was when it would have been just a few years past since the real rise of deathcore. It still was kind of an unknown thing at the time. It wasn't that it didn't grow big until I think a lot of years later. So I came up in my teen years discovering bands like Suicide Silence, which is like a main band for me. Specifically the Mitch Lucker era. I don't give a fuck with this new one. But the Mitch Lucker era, Suicide Silence, I like lived on that shit. I still do. I still listen to that. Today, I listened to it actually. So the deathcore sound is something I'm very familiar with, and to hear that these guys were one of the pioneers, just like Suicide Silence, it brought me a lot of happiness. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to listen to kind of the forefathers of deathcore, and it really is a crazy thing because like I'm pretty sure Corey said this as well when he was on. It's just like when you like how the world, how the metal world must, or the metal community must have interpreted bands like this, like the handful of bands like Silence, these guys that came out and just did this style. It must have been so confusing. Not confusing, but it must have been like a real punch to the gut, you know? Sonically, it's like, oh my god, what is this? I guess it's like the first time the world heard death metal, or the first time the world heard hell thrash, black metal. Like it must have been such a very refreshing and unique like taken away moment. It must have been because I know when I first heard Suicide Silence, yeah, I might mention them a lot because that was the main deathcore band I listened to. But when I first listened to them, I was blown away. I was like, what the fuck is this? And Mitch Locker, fucking the psychopath he was. So it's just like listening to that style. And these guys, the way I interpret these guys, I think these guys they're the Cannibal Corpse of the deathcore world. They're very meat and potatoes. And what I mean by that is they sound very raw. They're not very sophisticated, which isn't a bad thing. Because if done properly, if a style is done properly, simply but properly, then you can have the most amazing record. And I think these guys aren't as technical as other deathcore bands to come after them. But I think what they really nailed down is it just sounds like a structural kind of demolition. You know, it sounds, it's as you said, it sounds drone, it sounds precise, and it sounds brutal, but not as technical as, you know, which like I said, it's not a bad thing when done right. And I think these guys, just like how Cannibal Corpse has done for almost 30 years, these guys are doing it in this album. They're sticking with the basics, so to speak, for deathcore, and they're really nailing it to a T. So I really appreciated that about this album.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like they focus so much on the technicality side of music, um, which you know it's incredible. It's really inspiring to listen to. Do you know what? It's listening to a band like this as a musician makes you want to practice and put down the guitar forever, kind of thing, you know, or practice your drums. It's like I'm gonna spend 20 hours a day learning how to play this stuff, and then on the other hand, you're like, fuck this. I'm not gonna be able to achieve this, you know. So as a musician, it's a hard it's a hard listen in a way, right? But you know, there is a lot of complexities in the writing style, but the entire album from start to finish just sounds like one song to me, you know, which I don't think is insulting because I think it was an actual, it was on purpose. Like they really wanted the whole thing to flow. And that's something I was interested to ask you because you love when an album flows. And like pretty much you could go from any point of any song in this album, skip it to the next song. And it kind of almost merges together. Like except for one point, which I'll get onto later on. But did you find that it flowed, bro?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like I did feel the cohesiveness and and the flow of an album. And you're right, I do love that kind of style. When an album can just sound seamless, it can sound like it's from point A to point B, and it just sounds like one amazing sonic river, so to speak. And this album, as you also said, you could just click on any part of the album, and it would still sound cohesive. So that is very very impressive by the boys. And you know what's interesting, like because I listened to this a few times over the week, and I don't know why this was, but when I was doing my research for it, I was shocked to find out that the album was only just over half an hour in length. It felt longer, not in a bad way, because I know a lot of people associate things going longer as dragging, but like it just felt like longer than it was. And then when I checked on Wikipedia and whatnot, and I was like, what, 30 something minutes? I'm like, really? And then I listened to it again. I was like, oh yeah, it does fly by pretty quick. But it doesn't feel like that. You get sucked into the world that they're the very, as the album name would suggest, mechanics of dysfunction. That's it. Like, it is what it sounds like, but the dysfunction is coded in such drone preciseness, like if that's a word, precision, in such drone-like precision that these guys could, this album specifically could probably pass as like a drone album if they added a bit more ambient, a bit more droney background. This could very well pass as a great drone metal album. So yeah, it has that same qualities, the same as as we both said, precision. And the fact that you can, yeah, as you said, you can play it back to front, sideways, 1 to 4 to 5, like I mean, not to 5. That's spoiler alert. But I mean, 1 to 7 to 10. You can click on anything, and 99% of the time it's going to sound cohesive, which I think is a pretty cool quality about this album.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny that Corey picked this album, and I can see why, because it is brutal heavy. You know, I like to describe them more as a brutal tech metal, which is what I would see these guys as, you know, because it's all 100% in your face, but then there's like these crazy technical nuances that, as a guitar player, that you just sit back and you're just like, oh man, that's insane kind of shit. Like they actually sound like they're robots, man, and that's the mechanic side of the title and just the sound of the record. But do you know they had a great personnel on this record. The guy that actually produced it and recorded it is the former guitar player of Despised Icon, which the minute I heard these guys, that's who I thought of. His name is Yannick Saint Amand, and he's an incredible producer. He's worked with really cool bands in the genre like Martyr and uh, Progus, Martis, I can never pronounce that name, and Iron Dissonance, and just loads of really cool, like full on death metal or tech death metal bands. And then they had a really, really masterful master on this album as well, Alan Duche. He's a Grammy Award winning producer and master engineer. He's worked on like 16,000 albums. Can you just imagine 16,000 albums this man has? And they're all like really, really notable albums. Dillinger's Escape Plan, which Corey mentioned last week, Converge, who we've spoke about several times, Mastodon, you know. So like he's worked with like incredible bands, not just heavy bands. So that's what makes this album listenable, because he's worked with bands like Yes, Ben Fold 5, uh, Ben Folds 5, Monster Magnet, Fatboy Slim, Chemical Brothers, all these kind of more easier on your ears and on the palate kind of bands. And he just knows how to make something as organic, but you know, digestible for listeners. It's he's an incredible talented man. And then also it was mixed by Pierre. I'm not even gonna try and say his last name. It's a French or French Canadian most likely. But he works out of Wild Studios. I think he was French Canadian as well. But he's an incredible mixer as well. So this album was just destined to sound perfect. Like it's one of those albums that it is completely flawless, and it's annoyingly flawless. You know, it's like I like listening to albums where there's something that you can pick up on where they fucked up or they could have done better, because it makes it human. You know, it's what makes it organic. Like, you know, think about all the old Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath albums. You can always hear something going on in the background, somebody talking, somebody dropped something, you know, the mic fell or whatever. Uh, you know, but that's the way of the world now. Everything has gotten clinical and clean and precise. Like the word precise is the word of this podcast today, I think, bro. It's just a precise, precisionally precise station.
What?
I was trying to come up with a new. It's yes. My phrasing is very precise today. Yeah. So the people behind this album were extremely talented and extremely like focused on the same thing to get this album to sound precise.
This was the precise moment we knew we fucked up.
Well played, sir. Well played.
You know, before I get onto my other point, yeah, you mentioned how that guy has worked with bands, and then you mentioned the band Yes. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about it. Like, what was the the brainstorming session like? That must be funny. It's like we need a band name. Yes. Like,
Yes, that's it. Yes.
like what a creative yet so simple idea. Just yes. Um, but anyway, when I first heard this album, although it makes me laugh because like when you do your research, you could tell that when this album came out, people like critics and I guess people in charge of the rating system, I guess for music, whoever they called, like they had no idea what the fuck was going on either because like you can tell whenever you see what they're listed as, there's just a whole bunch of things because deathcore wasn't around then. So it's like technical death metal, deafened metalcore. It's like what the fuck? Like they just invent all these random terms because they have no idea what they're called. Which I find that funny. Like I laugh to myself thinking about like all the names they tried to make for it, and then
Yeah.
obviously we found out deathcore came out. But it's just like funny how back then they tried to make all these names. Cool. But initially, although obviously this is a deathcore album, this actually reminded me specifically of the album. It has very similarities to the album, fucking the latest. I think it's the latest, Dying Fetus album, Wrong One to Fuck With. That came out in 2018, I think. But that has a lot of similarities. It's very in your face, very robotic, um, scary, technical, and it's like specifically that album. I'm a fan of Dying Fetus anyway, but that album is just like so yeah, just technically robotic in the way it sounds. And as soon as I put this on, I was like, oh, this has the same. Maybe Dying Fetus learned from this album to do their latest album. Who knows? But I'm just saying, like that's what my brain went to when I first heard this album. And yeah, it's just interesting because like I can't believe because when this album came out, that means Carnifex, aka Corey, was like this. This band was like their peers back in the day. Like
Mhm.
Carnifex, Suicide Silence, these boys. It's just like what a crazy like era to start between the three of them, or like however many the handful of Job for a Cowboy. Like that's insane. Um, yeah. The more I listen to this album, the more I'm like trying to put myself because I mean I was 2007. I was in year seven. It's good because my school years matched the year of the year. So like I graduated in year 12 in 2012. It matches. It's good. So in 2007, I was in year seven, and I remember the start of this era coming out, and like everyone losing their shit, and yeah. So no, this is a great. It's a great example of obviously what was to come. How this reminds me of like the raw product, like the raw, you know, because the first draft, the raw first takes of a new idea, deathcore, which it would be later known, obviously, not fucking death and black, like technical rock, whatever the fuck they ended up calling it back then. But and it's I love the rawness of it. I love how unapologetic it is, and I think the thing I love most about all this is that unlike most genres, I think deathcore is one of those last genres where every band who identifies themselves as deathcore, whether you're talking about the forefathers, Carnifex and these boys, or you're talking about bands today, I think it's one of the real last uncompromising subgenres where they're like, nah, we are us, go fuck yourself. I think they really have that energy about them, and because throughout the years you can hear certain genres be watered down or changed or spun in its own way, but I think deathcore is one of the last genres where it's like, yeah, this is us, this is what we are. We're not going to change. If you're deathcore, you're like, I guess it's like a gang kind of like a Sonic game. It's like if you're one of us, you better step up. You can't be a pussy. I like it, like I get that vibe from all the deathcore bands I listen to. It's like they have that just alpha energy. And obviously it started from the forefathers and probably the spokesman, fucking psychopathic Mitch Locker. Probably was like not a good spokesperson for that, but yeah, no, it's just I guess the point I make is, it's just cool that from the present day to then not much has changed. It's just gotten more heavier. It's gotten more, you know, more deadly, more technical, and I just love how they had an idea and they're just like, you know what, fuck the world, let's just do us. Let's just do nothing but breakdowns, nothing but shredding guitars, nothing but, you know, bringing in what most bands would just do in increments, and they made it their whole sound, which is fucking pretty crazy. And we heard, Card Effects last week. It's the same. It's like they do the same thing, and yeah, I just think in general, it's just a fascinating genre, and it's subgenre, and it's cool to just revisit the forefathers and be like, fuck yeah, like this is where it came from. I think it's just pretty sick.
Like the alpha energy is the best way to describe these boys. I think that's really cool. I mean, we haven't mentioned that the boys are from Montreal and Quebec, Canada, and when you see the boys playing a live show, they are just big monster fuckers, like big fucking strong dudes, and they're playing this full on fucking tunes. Like the singer Elliot has just one of those massive necks, and he's just like he's screaming like really fucking gutter rolling the whole fucking time. There's no, it's there's people that are born with technical ability. I know there's a lot of like debate whether you build up to it. I certainly wasn't. I couldn't do any fucking heavy vocals or singing at all. I had to teach myself how to do it. But when you see some guys doing it and it's just like effortless and like he has his head down and he's like, like that's the wrong technique, you know what I mean? It's like as if he was born with this and he's like head banging his big massive neck and then he's into this, you know, it's a really interesting thing to see because it's like it's primal, I love it. And the guitar player Chris Christopher Bradley. He's a big, massive guy that looks like he spends, half of his life in the gym and half of his life playing his guitar because it's just like it's just a really striking visual that goes coinciding with this sound, this big, massive lumberjack sound, when you were chatting there about the description of the band, I came up with another one: surgically precise tech brutality. It's like yeah, that could have been better, more catchy than deathcore. I think if I was around and I came up with that back in the day, surgically precise core. But anyway, yeah. So the alpha energy is definitely what these boys are in spades. And it's overwhelming brutality. It's overwhelming clinically technical when you're listening to it. And that is no mean feat, it's like it's hard to do, man. It's really, really awesome. And all the bands that you mentioned, that kind or wave the flag at the start for deathcore, it's really cool. It does feel like a mashup genre, subgenre, but it's also really important. It's like an important part of the evolution of metal. I really think it's a something for like Corey last week. You know how he knows himself, but he doesn't really want to say it. He pioneered this thing. And if I was him, I'd be shouting off the rooftops because it's something really awesome to be proud of, you know. And such a down to earth guy after being the forefront or the forefather, as you call it, bro, of something really special in metal. So, fair play to them. There's a lot of chaotic kind of sounding bands out there, but to be able to bring that chaotic sound and bring it to this precise It's a beautiful thing to be able to bring the two sides together and make this juggernaut of precision. All right, I'm done. I'm done. Uh,
This is precisely what's wrong with this podcast. Uh, fucking hell. Um, well, look, why don't we get on before we start speaking more gibberish? Talking about our sponsors for the week. You go first, Ren. I choose you.
all I can hear in my head is I don't know if it's an Oasis song, but it's "Where did we all go wrong?" Yeah, sponsors for the week, man. Cassidy's guitars all the way. If you're looking to buy a starter guitar or a full-on UK custom for Christmas for your loved one, Cassidy's Guitars is the place to be. I'm so bad at that commercial shit. Could you imagine me in one of those, like trying to sell this pen? This is it's a red pen. It draws. Can't get the lid off. It's nice. 9.99. No, I don't know. Just Cassie's guitars. I swear, it's morning time. I'm not even drinking, bro. This is crazy. I don't know. I changed my coffee. It's a different kind of coffee. It's stronger, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a lot stronger. Are you sure? Are you sure you didn't just get some Irish coffee?
Probably.
I heard that's pretty potent.
It is, yeah, for the whiskey.
All right. So today I want to give a shout out to Josh Freeman. We recorded, aka There Is Only One Elvis. We officially, actually, I'll get to that part later. But so we've been in happy collaborations with There's Only One Elvis. He's made our merch, and like I told him on messages, and if you listen to this, Josh, I do mean it. Like as I said to him on Messenger, even if hypothetically, even if fucking a big clothing brand came up to us and paid us millions of dollars for merch, we would still make sure that it went through you first, because we came to you. We're not just gonna fuck you over that. So you're our merch guy until you get sick of us. So yeah, go check out the merch. The link to the store will be in the description. So far we have two item. So far we have one item that says fuck work, listen to the SAGAS Metal Podcast with our logo at the back. Pretty sick. It comes in long sleeve, short sleeve, and the hoodie or jumper. I got the jumper one. I'm not wearing it at the moment. It's in the wash, but but it's really comfortable. And you got the longs. Well, wait, yours hasn't come yet, has it?
Not yet. It's
because he's
it's
working on the
way.
UK store, Europe store. So.
Yeah.
But no, it's super comfortable, super light. And I love jumpers like that. That aren't too heavy. The one I'm wearing now is a bit tight, but it's very thin. I mean, but in a good way. It's very comfortable, very well fitted, and yeah, I'm sure you'll love it. So go check it out and give him some support. Go check out his Spotify. There Is Only One Elvis. Check out his music. He has a new album coming out soon. Very excited for that. And while we're on that topic, we have recently started a Patreon account for the SAGAS Metal Podcast. Actually, to be more specific, I started the Patreon account because going all the way back, Ren said, and I quote, "I don't know if I want to beg for money." That was his opinion on Patreon. But I figured, you know what? There's nothing wrong with adding extra content for our fans. So if you want to go check it out on Patreon, SAGAS Metal Podcast, it's $5. We'll never change that. It's going to be $5. Like, no point increasing. There's only one tier. One tier, you get everything. So, no matter how much we post or how exclusive it is, you're all going to get it if you subscribe to it. $5 a month. There's a lot of bonus content on there. We're going to soon be doing weekly single reactions once we get enough songs, and that's just us brutally telling it how it is. We'll start off by shouting out the band and a link to their Bandcamp, Spotify, whatever they use, and then we'll tell it how it is. If it sucks, sorry, you're going to hear about it. If it's good, well, you'll hear about it too. And if it's really good, we'll offer you to be on SAGAS Podcast, and that'll be a cool idea. There's also a thing I've been doing. 3 episodes in, Venomous Pit. No, the Venomous Bite. Venomous Bite. Sorry, I got confused there. The Venomous Bite. It's a audio only podcast. Where I just research different crazy moments, either in albums, artists, or bands in metal history. And yeah, go check out one of the episodes I put on YouTube for free, just to give you a taste of it, about the Sex Pistols and their crazy life. Yeah, they definitely deserve more respect for what they did for freedom of speech. They fucking fall for that hard, and only released 1 album, but yeah, go listen to it. It explains that a lot better. And then we also have a podcast with me and Josh collaborating called Black Static, where we talk about a new movie every month. We've already recorded our first episode the other day. I just need to edit it. Yeah, we talked about the Grand Budapest Hotel. I don't know if you've seen it, Ron, but it's a great movie. It's very, very witty, very funny. Yeah, so once a month doing that, so that's also fun. And eventually Ren will stop being a lazy piece of shit and he will upload something himself. But yeah, a lot of stuff to come, a lot of stuff already there. Please, if you want to support us and get all this bonus content, $5. I promise we will not increase it unless Ren becomes a greedy cunt in the future and does it behind my back. But I doubt he will. So yeah.
Probably will.
Yeah, he definitely will, but I promise it's not gonna be me. So yeah. Check out the Patreon. Check out Josh and his merch, and for all our other sponsors, you can see it at the end of the episode. I have them listed and in the description below. So check them out. But those are my 2 for today. And now there's only one more time left, and I'm going to do the whole Grease style. Problematic. It's
dramatic.
It's come on. Okay. No. All right, we're starting again. Hang on. Wait. I'll get my beat. All right.
We're very prepared today.
This is a bit of a fun moment for you fans. So I'm gonna throw my beanie and be like, it's what is it? It's problematic, and then I'll throw my beanie, and then you say, it's the devil's advocate. That's me. All right. Here we go. Take 2. All right. It's problematic. It's the devil's advocate. My beanie. No. Oh. That was fun. Shout out to Greece. All right.
Shout out to Greece.
So, actually, our bonus episode for that too. That's on YouTube. We did a Grease karaoke.
Oh, we did, yeah. I haven't even watched that back.
We're both too ashamed.
Yeah, too ashamed. But actually, before we go any further, I just got a message here on my watch from my good buddy TJ Palmer. Seeing as we're talking about a Canadian band, we may as well talk about TJ. He's a super cool guy who interviews bands, and he's an all-around legend. So I just thought I'd give him a shout out. If you want to check out the Boneyard, is his place to go and see him. So yeah, TJ.
Cool. All right, I'll start as normal. And I might start things off a little, some would say, foxy. Damn, it didn't happen the way I wanted it.
Foxy lady.
A little. Oh, come on. Foxy.
Right. What the fuck?
All right, so it's yeah, you heard me. A little.
Oh, get the fuck out of town,
man. So for my opinions, and don't worry, Beneath The Massacre, I won't dog you too much.
Oh.
Anyway, I thought that'd be fun. So what a fun episode. So, all right, my least favorite, and I think it might be yours. I have a feeling we're the same, at least in the least.
Mm.
I can't really put my thing. I kind of forgot what the name of the song was. It doesn't have a title. No, I tried to make a bit of it. It failed. Um, so yeah, Untitled. I would. It's my least favorite because it doesn't match up with the rest of the album. And Corey did say that. He did mention that was the break in the album. So it was predictable. But it's just this album's so perfectly precise that it's the only obvious choice, I think. Because yeah, you just have to choose. I mean, in my opinion, you just have to choose it because it's the only break in the album. My favorite track, I think I'm going to have to go with track one, The Surface. Because nothing like an amazing intro track to start. We've talked about so many amazing intro songs to just kick the album off. Some that come to mind when I think of old episodes. The Devil Townsend Empath Genesis, that intro track. Oh wait, no, that wasn't the intro. That was the second track. Don't worry, I fucked up. But that was the second track. But yeah. So yeah, The Surface, great track. It introduces the album well. It really puts things like it really dives beneath the surface, and it shows, just it's just yeah, it really skyrockets the album into opening the whole package, and yeah, so you got to give shout outs when they're due to amazing intros, and this one had that.
Nice. Do you know what? I'm gonna go with the first. Is it the first time in a long time? I think that we're 100% on each other this week. Um, Untitled straight away, like, and I kind of hinted on that earlier on. I think it is the flow that I mean, it's really technically cool. Like, it's this wicked, like, riffage, time signature stuff, which I love. But it just kind of mucked up the old flow of the album. So yeah, but The Surface, yeah, The Surface. If straight away I was like, oh, I'm digging this album just because of the first opening track. It's like it's a barrage straight away of like this dissonant machine gun style riffage, and I'm all about that. Like it was pretty bitching as an intro, but it came in very second, very closely to first. Is the Stench of Misery. That's a wicked cool track as well. Like that was pretty close, but I think The Surface did take it for me because it was the first song I heard of the band. Fuck man, you're looking very luxurious there today with your hair and your hairbrush. I can't. It's very distracting. I'm trying to fucking talk serious here.
That could be my thumbnail.
Put your Disney head away. That's better. That's better. Now, let me talk about this precise album. Your hair is looking very precise.
Oh man, what
Fuck.
a train wreck this episode turned out to be. But yeah,
That's all. That's I'm done. I'm
I
done.
was just gonna say, I'm just gonna say, we're not bitches. We don't do retakes. We do
Fuck
one
that.
shit.
It is what
Um,
it is.
cool. So I know you have an album ready for next week. So why don't you tell us about it?
Yes. The very, very awesome Hail Stand by Periphery. I think they released it in 2019. It's a killer, killer, killer album. They're just a super inspirational band. I think for everybody in every genre, them boys have inspired people in one way or another. So it'd be really cool to talk about them next week. And it kind of works after these guys because there's a lot of technical and modern sound and riffage in there as well. So that'll be fun.
Nice, nice. Well, I know you guys. If there's anyone even listening at this point, if anyone's gonna listen this far in, you guys are dedicated, and we appreciate you. Well, as we always say here in Sagas, same time, same place. Wait, also